Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of SoTellUs Time. Now, if you were paying attention, last week we didn't have an episode. And if you're following us on social media, you would know that because we did have the team post about that we were not going to be having an episode. In fact, last week we were actually on a Hawaiian cruise. So that was awesome. And we had a great time. You know, you got to take time for those breaks to recharge the batteries and get yourself feeling good and keeping yourself motivated. And I actually really like to do that in the beginning of the year, right? Like you're thinking, wow, I mean, the year just started, like you already need a break. Well, no, here's the thing is we run really hard all year long, right? And in the beginning of the year, we already started out. Troy and I were averaging minimum 70-hour weeks, but often hitting 80-hour weeks. And so, yeah, after the first quarter, I was like, man, I need a break. And Troy's like, yeah, I could use a recharge as well. And then, you know, what's great is we're going to run and do crazy hours again. And we're going to do it for another quarter. And who knows, maybe I'll go on a vacation after that. I kind of like this idea. Maybe 4 vacations a year, like work really hard and go really hard, but take 4 vacations a year too, which would be awesome. But we've got a great episode for you guys today. We are so glad to be back. So excited to be back with you guys. Hopefully you didn't miss us too much, and stop listening. I'm hoping you're still here. No, we know you guys are still here and we love and appreciate you. We got a really, really good episode for you guys today. In fact, it is the $1 million first impression. Yes, that is right. The $1 million first impression. In this episode, we're going to be revealing why in the first 5 minutes of any interaction, it can make or break your business, whether it's on the phone or in person or online. Your first impression sets the tone for trust, confidence, and sales. This is going to be the ultimate playbook for every entrepreneur, business owner, and customer service team, because you guys have customer service teams too. And really, that is the place that a lot of companies kind of lack. Is I hear that all the time. Think about it. What do you hear from consumers? Where's the service? Where is the service today? There's no service. So this is even for your customer service teams. So make sure that you guys listen to this, and maybe even you should be having your employees listen to these, by the way. I mean, that would be a really good idea, but you want to make sure that, if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, or even your customer service team, we want to help you stand out. And that's what this episode is going to do, and instantly win trust and never lose a client due to a rocky first start. Because I will tell you, first impressions are super important. In fact, you've probably heard that old saying, they're not buying your product or service, they're buying you, right? And that stands so true. And that's exactly kind of what we're talking about today. The first 5 minutes is really important. And that's just kind of a metaphor, obviously, like 5 minutes, because really that first experience and interaction with your team can make or break your business as well. So, all right, guys, I'm going to let Troy jump in. I took like 3 minutes right on the intro. So we're behind schedule.
All right. So like Trevor said, why do first impressions matter so much? Well, it really comes down to psychology, right? So the psychology of a first impressions is that people form their opinions in seconds, right? And it's often based on the tone, the visuals, and especially the energy more than the content of what's going on, right? So your energy, how much energy you have, that can really affect that first impression. And these impressions really affect, like Trevor said, trust, confidence, and people's willingness to buy from you. So let's take a second and let's look at some examples of companies that are known for making a really good first impression, right? So one of the big ones is Chick-fil-A. So if you're not familiar with Chick-fil-A, they are a restaurant, a fast food restaurant, chicken sandwiches. I think they even say that they created the original chicken sandwich. I don't know if that's true or not, but they advertise that. But phenomenal, right? And, but what makes them different? Why are they like so much better than a McDonald's or a Burger King or a KFC, one of those?
Way better than KFC.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing. Here's why it works. First off, their team is trained to be exceptionally polite, fast, and consistent in every single interaction. And I'm trying to remember the exact phrase, but like anytime you say thank you to a Chick-fil-A worker, I'm pretty sure their response is always it's my pleasure.
Yeah.
Like they have to say that, right? It's part of their training. And I've actually tested that where I've done it like multiple times too and be like, oh, thank you so much. And they're like, oh, it's my pleasure. Like, here's your sauces. Oh, thank you so much. Like, hey, it's my pleasure. And I like get them to say it like 4 times, and they do it every single time. But that's like just part of, it's ingrained in them. Like even their drive-through experiences feels more personal and professional. Like if you've never been to one, instead of talking through a box to somebody, they have Chick-fil-A workers standing outside in the line, and they come up to your car as you're going through the drive-through. They take your order, they get everything, they take your payment. Like it's all as you're going through the line, right? Talking face-to-face with a employee there. So makes a huge difference, right? Compared to, trying to talk through that stupid, McDonald's clown face or whatever and not even understand what they're even saying because the speaker's so bad, right? The other thing too with them is like super clean uniforms, very positive tone, attention to detail. Like if you frequently visit the same Chick-fil-A, like they're going to try to remember your sauces or custom orders. And so that, that you feel like it's a very personal experience. And the other crazy thing about Chick-fil-A, if you don't know, is Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays. They're only open Monday through Saturday. And yet even though they're closed one day out of the week, they crush it as far as sales because of the experience that they give and the quality of food that they give as well, right? So that's just one example. Another example is Apple. Like if you've ever walked into an Apple store, they are designed to be just visually stunning, clean, welcoming. One of the things they have, one of their rules is that staff are trained to greet visitors within 10 seconds of you walking in that door. They literally have like an employee standing right there at the front, that their whole job is just to be like, hey, how are you doing today? Welcome to Apple. And they greet you. And then they ask, they basically ask what you need and they get you handed off to the right person right away. Right. So it's a great experience. Like I said, they assess your needs very quickly, and then they provide hands-on help, right? They just jump in and help you right away. So that's another company that's done a really great job. Even their website, like if you look at their website, it's sleek, it's intuitive, it's super easy to browse, to buy things from. It's really easy to book an appointment, like with their Genius Bar to get help. So they've really just made the entire process just so easy for the consumer. We'll go over one more, and this one is, they are known for their customer service, and that's Disney, right? So think about Disney. When you go, to Disneyland or Disney World, right? Basically, every cast member is trained to make the guests feel special from the moment they enter the park. The parks are immaculate. The signage is friendly. It's clear. And the staff are empowered to solve problems quickly, to take care of people right away. And literally, the guests get this consistent feeling of like magic and professionalism right from their very first interaction. So it's, that's another company that has just done an amazing job of creating that wow factor in the first few minutes of you interacting with them. So let's talk about how can you do that in your business? Because you may not be a restaurant. You're probably not Disney, So how can you do this in your carpet cleaning business or in your childcare center or in your residential cleaning business, right? And so we're going to talk about a couple different ways that you can do that. So one thing though, real quick though, is let's talk about the cost of what happens of it going wrong, right? So if you get it wrong, if you don't create a wow experience in that first 5 minutes, what's going to happen to you? And basically, you're going to have lost sales. You're going to have ghosted leads, meaning like you reach out to them and then they never communicate back with you, or you're going to have clients who never fully trust your team, right? That first impression sets the tone. And especially when it comes to marketing and leads, if you don't set that tone right in the very beginning, you're going to lose so many leads right off the bat. So, it's really important. And again, first impressions aren't just external, right? This applies to your team onboarding, partnerships, networking. So your first impression is not just with consumers or people that are using your products or services. It's inside your team as well, right? And inside the relationships and partnerships that you have. So you really want to think about it in all of those areas. Okay, so How do you create a wow first impression? So we're going to kind of break this down in a couple different areas. The first one is for like phone calls or consultations, right? Like when you get a phone call to the business. So we're going to give you some ideas here. First thing, answer promptly, right? There's nothing worse or a worse, impression than when someone is sitting and the phone rings 5 to 10 times and nobody has picked up the phone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the worst. You're just like, where are they? And what are these people doing? Right now, you may not be able to answer every single phone call, right? You may be a one-man show or a one-woman show. And so maybe you can't answer the phone promptly because you're on another call. Well, then you need to make sure, we're going to give you a couple of options here. Number one, call back quickly. The faster you can call them back, the more impressed they are going to be. If they have to wait hours to get a phone call back from you, or if they have to wait until the next day to get a call back from you, they're not going to be very impressed. And most likely they've already communicated with one of your competitors, already made a decision to move forward, and you're not even going to get a hold of them at that point. So calling back very quickly is important. Now, there's a couple other options with that as well that we'll just kind of plug here. Another one is automation, right? If you can't answer the phone, you should have automation in place, like a text callback, basically, where, a missed call text back, where basically if you miss the call, you have an automated system that automatically texts them and lets them, communicates with them so that they can then start communicating with you. That's one thing that we've seen or that we've implemented with a lot of our clients that has been very successful. They're a one-man or one-woman show, and they can't always grab the phone right away, but they have an automated system to text the person right back to begin that conversation with them. And we're in the beginning, I think we were kind of amazed at how many people just immediately started texting, right? And actually preferred text as communication. So that's another one. Another option is, you guys have heard about us talk about it before, but AI receptionist, right? Having AI answer those calls that you cannot answer so that people can get the information that they need. You can gather the information that you need to be able to service them. So one way to create a great wow impression is to never miss a single call, right? So that's also very important. Now, if you are talking to them on the phone, you want to make sure you use a warm, professional tone. Make sure you're confident, don't be robotic, be personable, be friendly, laugh with them, right? Make, appropriate jokes with them to create a bond. That's really important. If you think about some of the best salespeople in the world, they can instantly connect with people, they can make connections, and they can bond with people very quickly. You can do that as well right over the phone. And then always be prepared, meaning know the client's name, their business, what they're calling about. The more information you have, the better prepared you are, the more they're going to trust you. So that's really important as well. So that's kind of how you take care of those phone calls or consultations. Now, for in-person interactions, you want to make sure, and some of these are going to sound really simple, but I want you to think about it. For those in-person interactions, make sure that you smile, make sure that you stand tall, make sure that you lead with energy, right? If you come in, you're like, hey, how's it going? How can I help you today? You immediately bring it down, right? Nobody wants to buy something from that guy or that woman that's just like, hey, yeah, this is what we do, right? No. So smile, stand tall, come in with energy, get them excited, right? You want them excited to buy what you're selling, right? So you need to come excited with it as well. Yep. Another big thing for those in-person is clean branded spaces or uniforms that reflect professionalism. I remember one of our clients, a carpet cleaner, one of the things that he did was he had little booties that all of his team members, before they would walk, as they'd step into the house, they would put on these nice little cover booties over their shoes to show respect to the homeowner and respect to their carpet, and it was very professional. This person's like, oh, wow. This person actually cares about my carpet because they covered their feet up before they even walked on my carpet. Even though the carpet's dirty, right? You're a carpet cleaner. You're showing up to clean their carpet. It's dirty, but you still put that on. It shows a professionalism. that's really important there. So I want you to think about your uniforms, what you wear, and how that reflects in that first, few seconds that they see you. And again, the little things matter. So like if you have an office where people are coming into your office, are you offering them water? Are you offering them something, a drink or something right off the bat? Are you making sure that you are on time and ready for that meeting? You're not rushing in and trying to, organize yourself. You should be there ready, waiting for them as they come in the door to greet them. Make sure the person who's greeting them, again, is smiling. They have energy. That's really important. And then having, if your business has to do with like printed materials, right? Having those materials ready to go for them. So if you have a sales packet, having that sales packet ready to go and right there for them as they walk in. Really important as well. Okay. Now for digital first touch points, because in today's age, a lot of the time, the first time we meet or someone sees us or sees our brand or anything like that is digitally, right? Whether it's through email, our website, our social media, those are all forms of communication and interactions with them that we need to make sure that wow them, right? So, a couple of ideas here: fast, friendly, clear email replies with proper formatting. That's really important. And I'm going to put some emphasis on the fast and clear email replies. One of the things that we do in our company that is we train all of our team on is if a client sends you an email and, it has maybe something that they want you to take care of for them, whether it's a change to a website or whatever it might be, immediately reply back to them and say, oh, thank you so much for sending this over. I will get this taken care of for you, and I'll let you know when I'm done. So rather than getting that email, waiting to do the work that they want done, then reaching out to them, we reply immediately and let them know that we've got it, we're on top of it, and we'll let them know as soon as it's completed. And I will tell you right now, people are always amazed by that. They're like, oh my gosh, you guys are so fast. Your customer service is so fast, and you guys take care of us so well, because we don't leave them wondering whether we got the information and whether we're working on the project.
Yeah.
Like that's the worst thing ever. When you send an email to a company, you don't get a response, then you have to follow up and be like, hey, I just wanted to make sure you got my email. And they're like, yeah, we got it. We're working on it. No, right? Fast, friendly, and clear responses. Another big thing is like having a polished, mobile-friendly website with a clear call to action, right? That's really important. Having the most important information on your website upfront and clear and in a way that is easy for them to understand and creates that impression. And again, having active social profiles that show recent and relevant content, whether it's recent jobs that you've done, that's really important as well. So giving that impression. So again, that's another thing too. When you think about like your social media and when you're doing jobs, how are you taking the pictures from those jobs? Are you doing a good job to make sure that the lighting is good, that the image is good, that everything looks really good? Or are you just snapping a quick picture and throwing it up on social media and the color's off and it's blurry and that really sets an impression with everybody. So think about that when it comes to your digital side. All right. Now, personalization is key, right? This is really important. So use people's names and use people's names often. That lets them know that you know who they are. Mention details from their inquiry, right? Pay attention to what they said, pay attention to, and then repeat those things so that they know that you're listening to them and that you're understanding what they're saying. And then personal touches really set you apart from the competition, right? The more personal touches you can give to that client, the more likely they are to stay with you. We had one of our clients, he was a roofer, and he would, after they'd take care of the roofing job, he would send out a basket to them, with some brownies in it and some other things. And also had cards for them to refer their friends and family. And I can't tell you how many people would write in a Google review like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. Not only did they do an amazing job on my roof, but they sent me brownies, right? Huge impression for something that cost a couple of dollars, to do. So think about personal touches and what you can do. All right. Now, like Trevor said, let's take a few minutes and let's talk about your team, training your team to create a great first impression, right? So everyone on the front line of your business represents your brand, your receptionists, any VAs you have, your salespeople. You need to have clear guidelines for them of exactly how they're going to present themselves and how they are going to interact with potential customers and customers. One great way to do this is to do role playing with them or have scripts that can help build the consistency that you want with them without being too rigid, right? So role playing is a great way to kind of practice over and over again and make them feel comfortable in what they're doing, so that you create that consistent impression every single time. And then set a standard, right? You need to have a standard. This is what we are going to do. With Chick-fil-A, every single time someone says thank you, how are you going to respond, right? It's a standard that they're going to meet. So literally one thing you could do is create like a 5-minute checklist for any first reaction, right? And that checklist could be very first thing you're going to do, you're going to smile. You're going to greet them by name. You're going to clarify what their needs are. You're going to explain to them what is the next step. What are we going to do? And then you are going to thank them. And I was in the Apple store the other day. I walk in the door, immediately the person smiled at me. They're like, hi, how can I help you? What's your name? Oh, my name's Troy. Awesome, Troy. What are you looking for? Oh, well, you know what? I need to get an accessory for my iPad. I'm going to be going on this trip. Okay, excellent. Here's what we're going to do. Brian here is our expert on accessories. He's going to take you back to show you all of the accessories and help you, pick out what's the very best one for you. And I'm like, okay, great. Thanks. And they're like, thank you, Troy, for coming in. Boom. And then I'm off with Brian getting it done. Took what? A minute to do that, but they covered every single one of those 5 things every single time. So that's what you want to do. Set your standard, train your staff on it. And then the final thing is feedback loop, right? Collect feedback from your new clients. How was their first impression of your business? How was their first impression with your employees? Get that feedback so that you can actually know how it's going. And then you can use that data to coach and improve your processes and your employees so that you just get better and better and better. I know I went over a lot there, Trevor. Anything else you want to add to it?
No, I think that was perfect. It's a lot of information because it's a lot of different areas that they really can make that good first impression. You have a lot of different first impressions. That's what you have to understand in your business. It's like, it might start with sales, but then it's going to move on to service. And then it's going to move on to follow up and follow through, right? So there's many first impressions, especially if you have lots of employees. I mean, think about it. Like you were saying, roofers or restoration companies or anybody that has a bunch of employees, so like the salesperson, right? They're working with the initial lead and then they close that sale, right? Then the next person that might take over is a project manager, or it may be a front desk person who is, putting together the invoice or answering questions for them. And then there's the person who goes out and actually does the work, right? And they're interacting with the people who do the work. So it's like, it's so important for you to understand that there is a lot of first impressions. So many companies just start with, I sell them and then, okay, we move on. I sell them and that's where it's all my focus, and maybe not even the companies, but business owners all too often are focused on the sale. But what about the follow through? What about the follow-up support? All of your people, your clients deserve to have amazing first impressions. I want you to think about that. Every person they interact with is going to be a new first impression for your business. So they may have a great first impression at the sales, but then they move into the service portion of it. And that's the first impression they have with your service person. And it's terrible. And now all of a sudden your company is terrible. Whereas they loved you before. So think about it that way. Every interaction with a customer or with an employee for the first time is a first impression with your business, a renewed first impression every single time. And so that's why we always try to make sure that everything is super consistent, right? That our sales guys are saying exactly the same thing that our support guys are saying, and our fulfillment guys. That way that it's just the same all the way across. And we set that tone for what kind of service what kind of company we are and what kind of first impression, what they can then expect moving forward with us, right? So, all right, that's it. Anything else, Troy?
Nope, that's it.
Perfect, guys. Well, we love you. Appreciate you. Let's jump into the homework really quick. So what I want you guys to do this week is I want you to look at your business, look at the people that your clients are interacting with in your company, and look at each one of them, like I said, as a new first impression. Even if they might be talking to the person who follows up when the job is over, 2 weeks later, a month later, 3 days later. That is a new first impression. Okay. Because it's a new person that they might be interacting with. And I want you guys to evaluate, how can you improve that first impression for each one of those departments or people? And if it's just you and you're a one, person show, then what is that like? You're giving the first impression of when you sell them and interact with them. But then you're coming back. You need to remember, you're giving a new first impression when you actually come back and service them. And then you're giving them a new first impression when you're following up with them later on. And that's where I think later on is where a lot of companies fall short, right? They either A, don't follow up, or B, they bombard people and they follow up too much. And they kind of are like, I don't, listen, they opt out of your emails or your text messages. They stop answering the phone. They feel bombarded. So again, that's a whole nother area we could talk about. But so look at your business this week and determine where and how can you improve your first impressions. And then maybe dive in and go through the process, especially if you have lots of employees. Do a test run, be a client, see what it's like, or jump on a call and listen. Or listen to recorded calls, Zooms, whatever you guys have that you can then look at and improve your, what we're calling first impressions, will absolutely change your business for the better. All right, guys. Well, we love you. We appreciate you. Please like, share, comment, and then, let us know what you guys want to hear about. Again, you know what we do. And so far it's been great. We talk to you about things that we're doing in our own businesses or things that we've already done in our businesses. So if you want anything other than what you're already getting out of us, which the feedback we get is that it's great. So if you guys want anything else, let us know and we'll check you out on the next episode of SoTellUs Time.